We have a lot to talk about today. We have confirmed the January 2026 payment schedule, the final COLA breakdown, and an interesting new OIG report that exposes why 25 million calls to the Social Security Administration have gone unanswered. Plus, we're also going to be talking about a shocking new poll that shows that 53% of Gen Z wants to cut Social Security benefits. So, like I said, we have a lot we're going to cover today, but we're going to start with the good news, which is, of course, your money and when you can expect that COLA to be deposited. So we know that the official 2026 COLA is 2.8%. The average retiree will see about $56 a month increase starting with those January payments, which is great. If you get SSI, that'll be coming in at the end of this month. And I want to remind you guys right out the gate here that that COLA update is automatic. You do not have to do anything for that. We are seeing a shocking amount of scams going around trying to convince people that they have to apply or click a link or call a phone number, and that is just not true. That COLA increase will be applied automatically for you. You do not have to do anything to get that. So I just want to make sure you guys are all really clear on that. So now we're going to talk about the payment schedule while we wait for some more people to hop in here. And then we're going to talk about that news that I uncovered for you. So if you get SSI, like I said, you're going to get that payment. You're going to see your COLA increase at the end of December because that January payment will be coming in December 31st because they don't send that on holidays. And then your February payment will actually come at the end of January on January 30th because of the weekend. So if you get Social Security and SSI, or if you're not on the Wednesday schedule, then you'll get the remainder of your money on January 2nd because January 3rd is a Saturday. Now, the Wednesday schedule usually does apply unless you get SSI or you received your Social Security benefits before May of 1997. I know we always get questions on that every month. If you got your benefits before May of 1997, or if you applied before then and were approved shortly thereafter, usually you'll get that earlier in the month. If it was after that, then usually you're on that Wednesday schedule that's determined by birth date unless you get SSI. So the Wednesday schedule, like I said, is based on birth date. If the birth date is between the 1st and the 10th, you'll see that money January 14th. If the birth date is between the 11th and the 20th, you'll see that money January 21st. And if your birthday is between the 21st and the 31st, you'll see that money January 28th. Now, if you'd like to get this whole 2026 calendar that Stephanie put together for us, you can download that at the link that you see in red over there. She color-coded it and everything, so it's really easy to tell what you're getting and when, because we always get questions about that. So, yeah, I just saw this comment. I imagine the lifers understand. I know you guys do. But surprisingly, we get a lot of questions. So we try to just recap that every month so that everybody knows what's going on. Now, unfortunately, this is where it starts to get a little bit less happy. So if you need help or if you're having a hard time, there was some really interesting information that came out about the Social Security hotline. And I'm sure you've heard great news about this and rave reviews because they're really congratulating themselves at how they allegedly got the phone time down to 7 minutes. But when you read the full text of this audit that they released, it's really interesting how creatively they had to do their math to get to that number. And I want to show you guys this because I've been seeing all those headlines about this 7-minute hold time, and it just doesn't match what a lot of people have been telling us. So as we dive in here, I just want to know, does 7 minutes feel right to you? Like, is that what you're seeing when you call into the Social Security Administration? Or are you waiting longer? If you guys want to share your experiences with us, I would love to see how it matches up to what they're actually publishing. Because like I said in that press release, they're saying that the phone time wait times are down to an average of 7 minutes. And so Senator Warren ordered an audit, and the Office of the Inspector General found that the numbers were accurate, which, yeah, they're accurate to the sort of math that they're using. But like I said, there's a lot of creative math in here to get to that number. So if you call in and you decide to get a call back because you don't want to wait on hold for an indefinite amount of time, they're not going to count your wait time at all. Like, they don't factor that at all into their equation when they get that 7 minutes. So they count all callbacks as a 0 wait time to lower that average, even though you have to have an estimated wait time of at least 5 minutes to even be offered the callback option. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then, of course, there's 25 million calls that ended with no service whatsoever. Whether that was because there was a busy signal, because too many people were calling in at once, or whether the caller disconnected the call, or the Social Security Administration disconnected the call. Whatever the reason is, if you gave up and decided not to continue waiting, they don't count that wait time either. So if you were on hold for like 4 hours and then it didn't connect, then they're just not going to count that. Even though that's about equal to about 36% of all the calls that they served. They also don't count calls made to field offices. There's a lot of information that they're disregarding. And when you look in here, it also says that the approximately 10 million callers who did not use the callback feature experienced an average wait time ranging from 20 minutes to almost 2 hours. And then the average callback time was between 1 and 3 hours. So that was interesting. And that sounds more like what I've been hearing from you guys in the comments when you're expressing frustration at getting hold of the Social Security Administration. So I kind of wanted to share that information with you just to let us all know that like the experience we're living, we're not crazy. It really is that bad. It's just they're using interesting math to make it sound better than it is. Anyway. They also said that AI handled about 2.9 million calls a month this year. And if you called in and you ended up dealing with the AI, I would love to hear your experiences about that as well. Because in this report, they also talked about how like 87% of callers were really satisfied with their interactions with the staff. They got their questions answered on the first try. But then they also slipped a note in there that if you talk to the AI, they just didn't offer you a survey. So nobody really knows how well that's working, I don't think. And I've heard some kind of mixed information there. So love to hear what you guys have to say about that. I want to highlight this really quickly because Tara says they never called me back. And one of the things that they say in this report is that 25 million calls that they just didn't answer. Some of those were because the queue was already full and people called too late in the day. And so they just dropped the call. And it says in there that if you request a callback and they run out of time, they don't queue it up for the next day. They just don't call you back. So I imagine that might be what happened here. If you had requested that callback and then they just didn't have time that day, they don't, like, it would make sense to me to put those people at the top of the list for the next day because you've already been waiting. But that's not the way their system works, which is really kind of frustrating, I think, because if you've already waited all that time, I feel like you should be bumped up to like first thing the next day. You shouldn't just drop off and have to get in line again. That's so frustrating, right? Yeah. Juicy is saying, is it better to just go to the Social Security Administration office? And it may be. It may be faster. I think a lot of them are requiring appointments now. So it may be faster just to do that callback and wait that 2 hours or whatever until they actually call you back. Just make sure you answer because the document that I reviewed said that their system will call you back 3 times. And if you don't answer any of the 3 calls, then they just ignore your call back and it falls off and they don't keep trying.
Are we in the
So-
Q&A portion already? I'm confused.
No, I'm just grabbing things that are relevant to what I'm saying, Kaylee. You're not doing anything wrong.
Okay.
You're fine. No, it was relevant to what I was saying, so I'm just grabbing stuff.
All right.
Sorry, Kaylee's with me here today helping with the questions, and she was wondering why I kept highlighting things because she didn't think we were ready for that yet. Amanda says, I hate the AI. It didn't help at all. Yeah, I get that. I work with AI a lot. I do marketing for businesses and different things now on the side, and it's not as reliable as a lot of people want us to think it is. Anyway, I could stand on that soapbox for a long time. So we'll go ahead and move on because Kaylee's right. We're not quite to the Q&A portion yet today. So if you do decide that you want to talk to your local field office and go in or whatever, they did say that the Social Security Administration will remain open on December 24th and December 26th, even though other federal offices will be closing. There was an executive order that kind of gave a lot of those federal workers an extended vacation there. Social Security said their people are still going to be showing up during that time. Those offices will be open between 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. local time on December 24th and December 26th. Okay, so now let's talk about how the trust fund is doing, because we know that Social Security is in financial trouble. I hope that's not news to anyone. I saw a survey today that said that a surprising percentage of people don't know just how much financial trouble the Social Security trust funds are in, which is kind of alarming. So the annual trustees report shows that the Old Age and Survivors Insurance Fund will be able to pay full benefits until 2033. And after that, benefits could be cut by 23%. You've probably heard that. But this leads into the really important thing I'm going to tell you in a minute. So they also said, if they use the disability insurance fund for those claims, then they could pay full benefits until 2034, but then there would be a 19% cut. Now, to do that would require a change in the law because right now those funds are separate. The disability fund is separate from the retirement and survivors fund. They could combine them and help them stay solvent a little longer. That's one of the things that is potentially on the table for helping to shore up and keep Social Security solvent for longer. But this is relevant right now because there's an interesting survey that was done. And it showed some pretty big generational divides in the thoughts on how Social Security should be saved. So Market Watch had a headline that said Gen Z would rather cut Social Security benefits for current retirees than pay higher taxes to save the program. And then Newsweek also reported on this and said that Gen Z is losing faith in Social Security's future. Could you try to type a little quieter there, sis? Both of these headlines are drawing information from a new survey of 2,000 people that was done by Cato Institute and YouGov. And they basically found that a lot of people are experiencing what I would call apathy towards Social Security just because they don't believe that it's going to be there for them when they retire. They said that 30% of people don't believe that they're going to be able to get help from it, and that another 36% are unsure, which is like 66% of people, which is a substantial portion. They also said that a majority, about 53% of Americans under the age of 30, say that younger workers should be protected from higher taxes, even if doing so reduces benefits for current retirees. And that is alarming, I think. I understand why they feel that way, but there's this, there's got to be something that's done to help shore up Social Security, and that's what the survey was about, asking all the different things and how people felt about it. So in contrast, 89% of seniors age 65 and older believe that current retirees' benefits should be protected, even if that means higher taxes on younger workers. And of course, the younger workers are not agreeing with that proposal. They said that Gen Z, which is now defined as Americans under the age of 30, are 8 times more likely than those 65 and older to support reducing benefits for current and future retirees in order to address Social Security's financial problems. That seems to indicate to me that the farther down the road they push these hard conversations about Social Security, the harder it's going to be to get an agreement on it, because we're starting to see just this absolute rift generationally between beliefs and what should be done. And the survey wasn't really optimistic. People are pretty much opposed to a lot of the things that could help solve that problem, like raising the retirement age. People don't want to do that, and that's understandable. But I think the longer Congress takes to come up with a solution here, the more painful that solution is going to have to be and the more controversial it's going to be as well. So that's something we'll definitely be watching. Scary to see how eager some people are to cut those benefits that I know are so essential for so many people. Now, I did, in my research, see something that might help explain why they feel that way. I think maybe their lack of enthusiasm could be in part due to issues they've had accessing benefits themselves. So I thought this was interesting. The Department of Health and Human Services has just sent letters to 39 states that have been intercepting Social Security benefits that were intended for foster care children. So these kids should have been getting these benefits, and instead the government was like, nope, that's mine. And that's because the agencies in these states are capturing those funds and then using that money to reimburse themselves for their costs in taking care of the foster care child. Now, the Department of Health and Human Services is intending to work with the governors to end this practice in the 39 states where it still happens, so that that money can go to those kids and hopefully help them transition out of state care, because we know that foster kids have a really rough time when they age out of that system. So hopefully this will be something that can help. And if you're interested in more about this, we're going to do a big deep dive into that on the Fast Facts channel. And I'll have Kaylee drop a link to the Fast Facts channel in the chat really quick. If you're not aware, we have two channels right now where we're doing different kinds of videos. They're both very related, but anyway. I don't know if I explained that well. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, and then just a couple of quick reminders before we jump into the Q&A. Social Security is reminding people that fraud is happening every day, so please do not share any personal information on social media that may identify you, such as your Social Security number, mailing address, telephone number, or email. And they're specifically talking about their social media pages. But I would like to echo this as well and say, please don't share that information on our social media pages either, including in our YouTube comments. We have, over the years, seen a lot of people put too much information in there, and I don't want anyone to see that and then be able to scam you in any way. So please be careful with what you share online. And Social Security also wants to remind people that scammers often pretend to be government employees, especially during the holidays. They may claim that you're a victim of identity theft, say there's a problem with your benefits or your number, etc. And you can report those scams to the OIG, that's the Office of the Inspector General, at the link that you see over there on screen. So I think that brings us to the conclusion of today's presentation. Yep. So just a shout out to our sponsor chapter. If you have any Medicare questions, these guys are awesome at being able to get those questions answered for you. They've certainly been a great resource for our team, and highly recommend reaching out to them with any questions you may have. Now let's see what Kaylee has for us. Although it sounds like she's typing, so I'll go ahead and grab one. Jody says, the AI sucks. It won't let you talk to a real person and it hangs up on you. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me a whole lot. And I know how frustrating that is. I read some interesting reports where it radically misunderstood what people were saying as well, which just adds to the frustration, I think. Yeah. All right, what do you got, Kaylee? But you know why I'm getting my checks on the 3rd of the month? I am not on SSI, only SSDI. That's really interesting. Yeah, I've heard of that happening outside of what the Social Security Administration says. I'm going to dig into that a little bit deeper, because on their charts and graphs and things, it says that if you get SSI or if you got benefits before May of 1997, then that would be the reason why. If you're not getting those, then I don't understand why that's happening, but I can reach out and try to find that out for you. What else do you got, sis? I know this is off topic, but if I start a GoFundMe page, will it cost me on my SSDI? So this is a great question, Lucille, and I'm glad that you're thinking ahead on this, because a lot of people don't realize until it's too late how GoFundMes and other things can affect benefits. So you said SSDI, which is Social Security Disability Insurance, which is tied to your work history, and it's not tied to your income. So GoFundMe should not be a problem for you. If you were on supplemental security income or SSI, that's when you need to be worried, because they look at all the money that's coming in and they will reduce your benefits if you are on SSI. But if it's SSDI, you should be fine. So hopefully that's comforting to you. Let's see. Oh, that's a great question. And thank you for joining our channel. I'm glad that this was helpful. That is a great question, and I don't really have a very good answer for you, other than a lot of government programs have what they call a marriage penalty, where couples just get less than individuals, and that's one reason why we've seen so many people. I could go in. I never want to bore you guys with all the policy stuff, but there's a very real problem where people choose to not get married or choose to get divorced. Just because of that marriage penalty that affects so many things, not just Social Security. And I did see some new proposals and things going on that seem to indicate that there are some government officials who are aware of that problem and hopefully going to take some sort of action to fix it. But as to the reason why that is, I have no logical explanation why anyone ever thought that was a good idea. So Sister, you are typing really loud. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but she's gotten really fast with her typing, and it's just like thunder when she's going over there. Do you got another question for me, sis? Or are you too busy multitasking?
You should repeat your answer.
I'm so sorry, Richard. What answer did you miss? Unfortunately, turning the ads off is not fully an option. That would result in our team not being able to sustain themselves. So, as much as I would love to be able to do that, it's not necessarily something that I am capable of doing at this time. Let's see. Oh, good. Yeah. So Sue said, got a letter from Social Security on the COLA raise. Everybody should be getting that letter by now. If you didn't receive one in the mail, you should be able to check your online portal if you have a My Social Security account to be able to, sorry. Sorry about that. You should be able to check the online portal to see that. Okay. What else do you got, sis?
No questions as of now. No problem.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Let's see. Does anybody else have any questions for us? Yes. So Amanda said they said not so long ago that raising the age would be one way to help, and they just did that. They have reached the full retirement age last month, and now they're trying to come up with other stuff. That's true. So we're just now getting to the full retirement age that's going to be 67, and they're discussing making it 70 now. I assume that that would be another big staggered thing. I read that it took over 40 years for them to phase it up to 67. I assume it would be another incremental couple months at a time over many years to reach 70. But they are discussing raising it to that, hopefully not higher than 70, because that sounds a little much. There were other proposals that they floated as well, including freezing COLA increases, which would be really painful. And yeah, lots of different ideas are being proposed, but nothing's been like definitively taken action on yet. So, alrighty, looks like it might be a short conversation today. But it will mean SNAP will go down though. Yeah, unfortunately, when the COLAs go up, SNAP goes down. If you aren't already receiving the medical expense deduction on your SNAP benefits, please go look into that. It is extremely helpful for people who are either, I believe the cutoff is over the age of 60, or who have a disability. You can submit proof of your medical expenses to the SNAP office, and they should be able to factor that into your income calculation, and it might help offset some of that loss if you're not using that already. Yes, Smiles COLA is automatically applied to the amount you collect, even if you're not collecting yet. That's, yeah. All right. Let's see. Wow, you guys may have noticed our videos have not been as consistent over the last couple of weeks because I've been having some health challenges and I am starting to get a migraine. So we're probably going to wrap up here pretty quickly. I do appreciate you being here with us today. Let's see. I took full retirement at 62 penalty. Yeah, that early retirement penalty is really bad and it is permanent, unfortunately. I'm really sorry that that happened, Praiseworthy. That really is difficult. Okay, I might have to wrap up, sis.
This one's a tip.
Yes, the medical question when applying for SNAP is on the application. A lot of people miss it though. It's been interesting how frequently that gets missed, or people don't fill out like their utility expenses or anything all the way. I've been really surprised to see over the years how much of that gets overlooked, which is why I always remind people about it, right? Yeah, I already answered that one, sis. Let's see. Yeah, Tammy. So people past 50 are having a hard time finding work. We know that ageism is a really significant barrier right now. And that's really concerning because a lot of programs like SNAP and Medicaid are starting to raise those working age caps into the 60s. And that's really, really difficult. We are going to be looking into some resources that may be able to assist with that. And in the meantime, if you're concerned about work requirements for programs like SNAP or Medicaid, there are other options like volunteering that can help you meet those minimum hours, even if you're not able to find necessarily work. um, let's see. Snap told me I was declined because I didn't apply to LA Jet. Who's in workforce? That's interesting. With their denial letter, there should be instructions on how to appeal that. And if they told you that you didn't have to work, you should be able to get back to them with information, bring up that discrepancy, and hopefully work that through. I would definitely try that. All right, I think I'm going to take this advice from Mickey Google Eyes here and go step away from video for a minute. But thank you guys for being here with me. We are going to try to get more videos out in the coming weeks than we have in the last couple of weeks. Things have been pretty hard over here. But I really do appreciate you guys. And if there's anything specific you would like us to cover, please let us know. We're always happy to do research for you guys, fact check things, look into grants and different stuff for you. So I